The Awakening. The crystalline spires of Nylar Prime, once gleaming with silvery blue bioluminescence visible from orbit, now burned with chemical fires that no Nylari technology could extinguish. In the central communications hub of the capital city, three figures worked frantically as the structure trembled around them. "Time remaining?" asked First Communicator Thela, her translucent fingers dancing across holographic controls. 17 minutes before shield collapse," replied Defense Coordinator Zan, his usually iridescent skin dulled to a sickly gray. "The Korgan dreadnoughts have positioned themselves above every major population center." The third Nilari, Science Elder Mira, looked up from a complex array of instruments. "The quantum beacon is ready, First Communicator. Though I must emphasize, we have no way of knowing who will receive our signal or if they'll understand." Thela's inner membranes fluttered in what passed for a grim smile among her kind. "We have no choice. The Korgan Empire has made their intentions clear: total subjugation or extinction. If there are others out there with the power to resist them, we must try." A violent explosion rocked the hub, sending crystalline fragments cascading from the ceiling. Through the newly formed cracks, they could see one of the Korgan battleships, a massive obsidian structure bristling with weapon ports that glowed an ominous crimson. "Activate the beacon," Thela ordered. Mira pressed her palm against a pulsing crystalline orb. The entire structure hummed as energy gathered. With a blinding flash, the quantum beacon fired, sending an encoded distress signal racing through subspace, carrying the coordinates of the Nylari homeworld and detailed scans of the Korgan fleet. "It's done," Mira whispered. "Now we can only hope." Zan moved to a viewport, watching as Korgan landing craft descended toward the surface. "In 1,000 years of space exploration, we never developed weapons. We believed communication and diplomacy would solve all conflicts." His voice cracked with emotion. "We were wrong." Thela joined him at the viewport. "Perhaps, but somewhere out there, someone might have made different choices than we did. And if the old legends are true, of warriors from the dark reaches of the galaxy, then the Korgans may soon regret their actions here today." The doors to the communications hub burst open as armored Korgan soldiers stormed in. 238 light-years away, nestled within an unremarkable asteroid belt circling a red dwarf star, an automated listening post designated Silent Watcher 17 detected an anomalous subspace transmission. Long dormant systems activated, analyzing the alien signal pattern. Within seconds, the listening post's quantum processors confirmed. First contact protocol initiated. The signal was authentic, non-terrestrial, and contained clear distress markers. Silent Watcher 17 relayed the signal toward the Sol system, directly to Earth's Unified Defense Command. Lieutenant Commander Ava Chen was halfway through her morning coffee when the alert sounded. As night shift supervisor at UDC headquarters, unexpected alerts usually meant equipment malfunctions or civilian ships straying into restricted zones. Not today. "Commander," called Specialist Torres from his monitoring station. "You need to see this. Priority Alpha transmission from Silent Watcher 17. Chen moved quickly to his station. Silent Watchers were relics of humanity's more paranoid era, automated sentinels placed throughout nearby space over a century ago and largely forgotten. "When was the last time any Watcher sent an Alpha priority signal?" she asked. "Never, Mom. Not in recorded history." The data appeared on screen. Complex patterns unlike anything in their databases. The AI translation matrix worked furiously to decode the alien language structure. "Get Admiral Kaito," Chen ordered. Now, Admiral Jun Kaito stood before the World Security Council, his weathered face betraying none of the turmoil he felt. "The signal is unquestionably authentic," he explained to the 12 council members. "It originates from a star system 238 light-years from Earth. The translation matrix has identified it as a distress call from a species calling themselves the Nylari. They are under attack by another species, a militaristic empire called the Korgans." Counselor Okafor of the African Union leaned forward. And you're certain this isn't some elaborate hoax? 6 independent verification protocols confirmed it, Counselor. This is genuine first contact, and they're asking for help. What kind of help could we possibly offer? Asked Counselor Rodriguez. Earth hasn't maintained a military fleet in over 70 years. We're explorers and scientists now, not warriors. Admiral Cato took a deep breath. There is one option. The room fell silent as he continued. Project Sentinel. Several counselors gasped. One stood up in protest. Project Sentinel was condemned as an atrocity, exclaimed Counselor Lai. Those soldiers were deemed too dangerous to remain active. That's why they were put into cryosleep. They volunteered for cryosleep, Cato corrected, until a time when they might be needed again. The council chamber erupted into arguments. Project Sentinel, the military's most classified program, had created enhanced human soldiers during the resource wars. When peace finally came, these specialized warriors found no place in society. Too dangerous to integrate, too valuable to terminate, they had chosen suspended animation until a crisis demanded their unique abilities. That was 73 years ago. Council Chair Hassan raised her hand for silence. Admiral, even if we approve this, and I'm not saying we will, the Sentinel facility is buried 2 kilometers beneath the Antarctic ice. The activation protocols are complex and were deliberately designed to prevent hasty decisions. Cato nodded. I initiated preliminary wake-up procedures the moment we verified the signal. The facility is already warming. Silence fell over the chamber. You exceeded your authority, Admiral, Chair Hassan said quietly. Perhaps, Cato acknowledged, but we have an obligation to respond to a distress call. It's been the law of the sea for millennia, and we've extended it to space. These Nylari are facing extinction, and the Sentinels, they're still citizens of Earth who volunteered to help when needed. After hours of heated debate, the Council made their decision. Project Sentinel would be awakened, under strict oversight, and with limited operational parameters. 3 kilometers beneath the Antarctic ice sheet, in a facility forgotten by most of humanity, warming lights gradually illuminated rows of cryogenic chambers. Medical drones activated, monitoring vital signs as the revival process began for the 100 occupants. In the central chamber, the first pod hissed open, releasing a cloud of crystallized vapor. Medical drones hovered nearby as biometric sensors indicated consciousness returning. Commander Elena Reyes opened her eyes, sharp, alert, and unnaturally green with biotechnological enhancements that allowed her to process visual information with computer-like precision. Her hand moved to the neural implant at the base of her skull, still functional after 73 years of dormancy. Status report, she demanded, her voice rough from disuse. A synthetic voice responded. Revival sequence initiated at 3:47 hours. Current date is April 17, 2198. All Sentinel personnel life signs stable. Revival completion estimated in 6 hours. Reyes sat up, ignoring the dizziness as her enhanced physiology rapidly adjusted. Around her, other pods were beginning their opening sequences. Wake up reason, she asked. First contact scenario. Distress signal received from non-terrestrial intelligence. Full briefing available when command staff is operational. Reyes swung her legs over the side of the pod, testing muscles that should have atrophied decades ago, but remained combat-ready thanks to the nanite colonies in her bloodstream. 73 years, she murmured, looking at the date display again. Wonder what we missed. 6 hours later, the command staff of Project Sentinel gathered in the facility's briefing room. Major James Kovac, Captain Sophia Williams, Lieutenant Isaac Okafor, and Chief Medical Officer Dr. Ayana Patel joined Commander Reyes as Admiral Cato appeared on the main view screen. The Admiral looked uncomfortable facing the enhanced soldiers, relics of Earth's violent past that modern society preferred to forget. Commander Reyes, he began formally. On behalf of the World Security Council, I welcome you and your team back to active status. Sir, Rise acknowledged with a crisp nod. My team is ready for deployment. Before we discuss the mission, you should understand how the world has changed. Earth has been unified and peaceful for over 60 years now. We've established research outposts throughout the solar system, but have deliberately limited our development of military technology. Major Kovac raised an eyebrow. So who's defending Earth? We haven't needed defense, Kaito explained. We've detected no threats in our explorations. Until now, Rice said. Kaito nodded gravely. Until now. He activated a holographic display showing the translated Nylari distress signal. The Sentinels absorbed the information at accelerated speeds, another benefit of their neural enhancements. These Korgans, Lieutenant Okafor noted, their weapons technology appears significantly advanced beyond Earth's current capabilities. Correct, Kaito confirmed, which is why the Council has authorized the activation of the Sentinel response vessel. Rise exchanged surprised glances with her team. The SRV had been a theoretical project when they entered cryosleep, a ship designed specifically for the Sentinels, incorporating the most advanced military technology of their era. It was completed, she asked, and upgraded several times over the decades, Kaito replied. It's been maintained in a dormant state, like yourselves. Dr. Patel leaned forward. Admiral, what exactly is our mission? Assessment and potential rescue. The Council has authorized you to investigate the Nylari situation and provide humanitarian assistance if possible. And if the Korgans attack us? Major Kovac asked bluntly. Admiral Kaito hesitated. The Council has authorized you to defend yourselves and any Nylari survivors using appropriate force. Commander Reyes stood. Understood, Admiral. When do we deploy? The SRV is being brought online now. You'll depart within 24 hours. After the transmission ended, Captain Williams turned to Reyes. They're sending us, the most lethal fighting force Earth ever created, on a humanitarian mission against an aggressive alien empire, but they're squeamish about authorizing combat operations. Reyes's enhanced eyes narrowed slightly. They want the protection we can provide without acknowledging what we were made for. But make no mistake. She looked around at her team, soldiers created for a war that ended long ago. If these Korgans are as dangerous as they appear, the Council will be very glad they kept us on ice instead of decommissioning us permanently. She activated the facility's internal communication system. All Sentinel personnel, prepare for deployment. We have a mission. The response. The Sentinel response vessel, Retribution, emerged from FTL on the outskirts of the Nylari system, its advanced stealth systems immediately engaging. Commander Reyes stood on the bridge, her enhanced vision taking in the tactical displays with machine-like precision. Initial scans confirmed the distress signal data. Lieutenant Okafor reported, his fingers moving across the holographic interface with inhuman speed. 3 Korgan dreadnoughts in orbit around the Nylari homeworld. Planetary defenses completely neutralized. Major Kovac studied the enemy ship configurations. Their technology is impressive. Energy signatures suggest weapon systems far beyond anything Earth possessed when we went into cryo. Are they more advanced than the Retribution? Rise asked. Yes and no, Kovac replied. Their offensive capabilities exceed ours, but our stealth tech appears superior. They haven't detected us yet. Captain Williams approached with a grim expression. Commander, long-range scans detect approximately 2 million Nylari life signs remaining on the planet. Based on the ecological data in their distress signal, that's less than 10% of their pre-invasion population. Reyes's jaw tightened. Genocide. There's something else, Dr. Patel added, looking up from her medical station. I'm detecting large concentration camps on the surface. The Korgans aren't just killing the Nylari, they're processing them. Processing? Rise asked. Harvesting might be a better term. Dr. Patel clarified. The Nylari have a unique cellular structure that appears to be regenerative. The Korgans are systematically extracting biological material from living subjects. A cold silence fell over the bridge. These enhanced soldiers had seen the worst of humanity during the resource wars, but this level of calculated biological exploitation was beyond even those horrors. Options, Rides asked, her voice steady despite the revulsion she felt. Major Kovac displayed the tactical analysis. Direct confrontation with the dreadnoughts would be suicidal. However, I've identified what appears to be a command vessel in high orbit. If we could infiltrate it, we might gain valuable intelligence and potentially disrupt their operations. Any sign of Nylari resistance? Rise asked. Captain Williams nodded. Faint communications from the southern polar region. There's a hidden enclave of survivors coordinating small-scale resistance efforts. Commander Reyes considered their limited options. Admiral Cato's instructions had been clear: assess and assist. Direct military engagement was to be avoided unless absolutely necessary. But the systematic extermination of an entire species crossed a line that no soldier, enhanced or otherwise, could ignore. New mission parameters, she announced. Williams, take a shuttle team and make contact with the Nylari resistance. Kovac, prepare an infiltration team for the Korgan command vessel. Okafor, you'll coordinate from the Retribution and maintain our stealth envelope. Dr. Patel raised an eyebrow. Commander, the Council authorized humanitarian assistance, not a two-pronged military operation. Reyes met her gaze steadily. The Council activated soldiers who were designed to make battlefield decisions. This is my decision. Captain Sophia Williams led her team through the dense crystalline forest that covered much of the Nylari southern polar region. The environment was unlike anything on Earth. Trees composed of translucent, silicon-based structures that resonated with harmonic tones as the wind passed through them. Movement ahead, whispered Lieutenant Chen, her ocular implants detecting heat signatures 30 meters forward. Williams signaled her team to halt. Defensive formation, non-lethal measures only. The Sentinels had barely taken position when they found themselves surrounded by slender, luminescent beings wielding primitive energy weapons. The Nylari stood nearly 7 feet tall, with 4 arms and skin that shifted colors with their emotional states, currently a defensive dark purple. Williams slowly raised her empty hands. We received your distress signal. We're from Earth. One Nylari stepped forward, its skin lightening slightly to a curious blue. Earth. We sent our beacon into the void without knowing who might answer. Its voice had a musical quality, with perfect translation provided by the Sentinel's neural implants. My name is Captain Sophia Williams. We represent humanity. The Nylari studied her with compound eyes that refracted light like prisms. I am Resistance Leader Thela. You are not what we expected. Williams smiled slightly. What were you expecting? The legends speak of peaceful explorers from distant stars. You move like predators. We're soldiers, Williams acknowledged. Specialized warriors sent to help. Thela's skin rippled with a pattern that the translation matrix couldn't interpret. Warriors. Then the Korgan threat must be known even in your distant realm. We only learned of them when we received your signal. Our leaders sent us to assist. Thela gestured for the other Nylari to lower their weapons. Then you have arrived just in time. The final harvest begins tomorrow. After that, there will be nothing left of our people to save. Major Kovac's infiltration team approached the Korgan command vessel using a stealth shuttle whose design had been classified even in their own era. The vessel's outer hull was coated with adaptive camouflage that bent light and sensor signals around it, rendering it virtually invisible. Their security protocols are impressive, muttered Specialist Rodriguez as she worked to bypass the Korgan ship's external sensors. But they never planned for anything like us. The 6-person team wore exoskeletal combat suits, another relic of Earth's warlike past that modern society had abandoned. The suits enhanced their already formidable strength and speed while providing additional protection. Remember, Kovac instructed, our primary objective is intelligence gathering. We need to understand their command structure, capabilities, and intentions. Secondary objective is to identify any vulnerabilities we can exploit. Rodriguez finally bypassed the security system. We're in. Their internal sensors will register us as maintenance drones. The team entered through a secondary airlock, immediately struck by the ship's interior. Unlike the sleek, polished aesthetics of Earth vessels, the Korgan ship was brutally utilitarian. Exposed conduits ran along corridors, lined with sharp asymmetrical designs that seemed deliberately disorienting. "Charming decor," whispered Lieutenant Park as they moved silently through the dimly lit passageways. They encountered their first Korgans 3 minutes later, hulking, armored beings with 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern and exoskeletal plating that appeared partially biological. The universal translator struggled with their guttural language, but the meaning was clear enough. The harvest was proceeding ahead of schedule. The team navigated deeper into the ship, downloading data from terminals and placing tiny surveillance devices at key junctions. The picture that emerged was increasingly disturbing. They're not just conquering the Nilari, Rodriguez reported after hacking into a secure database. They're harvesting their regenerative cells to enhance their own biology. The Korgans are artificially evolving themselves using Nilari genetic material. Kovac accessed the ship's command logs. This isn't their first conquest. They've done this to at least 7 other species in the last 30 years. "Sir," Park called quietly from a viewpoint overlooking a massive chamber, "you need to see this." Below them stretched an enormous laboratory where thousands of Nilari were suspended in transparent chambers, their bodies connected to extraction equipment. Korgan scientists moved between the rows, monitoring the process with clinical detachment. "They're still alive," Rodriguez whispered in horror. "They're keeping them alive to maximize cellular regeneration." Kovac's enhanced brain calculated options with cold precision. Their mission was reconnaissance, not rescue. They couldn't save the captives without compromising the operation and potentially dooming all Nilari. But as he watched the systematic torture below, something stirred within him, a fury that transcended his conditioning. These sentinels had been created to protect humanity, but deeper than their programming was a fundamental sense of justice that had led them to volunteer for the program in the first place. Change of plans, he decided. Rodriguez, access their central control systems. I want everything. Fleet deployments, vulnerabilities, command codes. Park, place charges at these key structural points. He transferred coordinates to Park's neural interface. We're going to give these monsters something to remember us by. On the Nilari homeworld, Captain Williams and her team had been brought to the Resistance headquarters, a natural cavern reinforced with the same crystalline technology that had once made Nilari cities clean with beauty. Resistance leader Thela explained their desperate situation. "The Korgan Empire has harvested our people for weeks. They take our regenerative capabilities and incorporate them into their own biology. Those who resist are executed immediately. Those who surrender face a slower death in their extraction chambers." "How many fighters can you field?" Williams asked. Thela's color dimmed. "We are not fighters, Captain. Before the invasion, our species had not engaged in warfare for over 10,000 years. The few weapons we have are defensive tools repurposed from scientific equipment." Williams glanced at her team, all of them enhanced soldiers from humanity's darkest era. The irony wasn't lost on her. A peaceful civilization had accidentally awakened Earth's most lethal warriors, created during a time when humans had nearly destroyed themselves through conflict. "We can teach you," she offered, "not to become like us, but to defend yourselves." "There is no time," Thela responded. "Tomorrow, the Korgans begin their final harvest. They have already positioned transport ships around our remaining population centers." Williams tapped her neural implant, connecting directly with Commander Reyes aboard the Retribution. "Commander, situation critical. The Korgans are planning a final operation to eliminate the remaining Nilari within the next 24 hours. Reyes's response was immediate. Kovac's team has infiltrated their command vessel and recovered crucial intelligence. The Korgans have done this before. They're systematic exterminators who harvest useful biological traits from conquered species. Orders? Williams asked. A brief pause. The World Security Council activated us to protect. That's what we're going to do. Rice's voice hardened with resolve. We're implementing Operation Thunderbolt. Williams felt a surge of adrenaline. Operation Thunderbolt had been a theoretical scenario developed during their training, a coordinated multi-vector assault designed to neutralize a technologically superior force through precision strikes and psychological warfare. Understood, Commander. We'll prepare the ground phase. Aboard the Korgan command vessel, Major Kovac received the updated mission parameters with grim satisfaction. About time, he muttered to his team. Prepare for Phase 1. Rodriguez looked up from the terminal she'd hacked. Sir, I've accessed their fleet communication protocols. We can broadcast directly to every ship in their armada. Perfect. Kovac connected to the Retribution. Commander, we're in position for Phase 1. Rodriguez has control of their communication systems. Reyes's voice came through his neural implant. Execute on my mark. Kovac turned to his team. Set charges. 30-second countdown on my signal. The Sentinels moved with practiced efficiency, placing explosive devices at key structural points throughout the command ship. These weren't ordinary explosives. They were targeted EMP devices designed to disable systems without causing catastrophic damage. Charges set, Park reported. Kovac nodded. Phase 1 initiation in 3, 2, 1. Mark. Throughout the Nylari system, every Korgan communication device simultaneously activated. On ships, in ground installations, and in the personal equipment of every Korgan soldier, the same message played. First in their own language, then repeated in dozens of others. Attention Korgan forces, you have engaged in systematic genocide against the Nylari people. This violation of universal rights has been documented and will not be tolerated. You are hereby ordered to cease all operations and withdraw immediately. This is your only warning. In the Korgan Command Center, the Supreme Commander roared in fury. Who dares identify the source of this transmission? Before his subordinates could respond, the lights flickered and died as the first EMP charges detonated. Emergency systems failed to activate as secondary charges disabled the backup power. For the first time since the invasion began, the mighty Korgan command vessel floated powerless and blind. On the Nylari homeworld, Captain Williams led her team and the Nylari resistance fighters in synchronized attacks against the Korgan ground forces. The Sentinels moved with inhuman speed and precision, neutralizing Korgan soldiers before they could organize a response. Thela watched in amazement as Williams single-handedly disabled a Korgan assault vehicle, moving faster than their eyes could track. What are you? Thela asked when Williams returned. We're what humanity created when we faced extinction, Williams answered honestly. The darkest version of ourselves, designed to ensure survival at any cost. Thela's skin shifted to a thoughtful blue-green. Perhaps sometimes darkness is necessary to preserve light. Commander Reyes stood on the bridge of the Retribution as the Korgan fleet fell into disarray. With their command vessel disabled and their ground forces under coordinated attack, the once coordinated invasion force was collapsing into chaos. Multiple Korgan vessels attempting emergency jumps, Okafor reported. Their formation is breaking. Dr. Patil approached Reyes with a concerned expression. Commander, what happens when we report back to Earth? The Council authorized assessment and assistance, not a military operation. Reyes watched as another Korgan ship fled the system. We'll tell them the truth. We found a genocide in progress and stopped it using minimal force. No Korgan ships destroyed, no unnecessary casualties. We followed the spirit of our orders, if not the letter. And if they disapprove, Patel pressed, then they can put us back on ice until the next crisis. Reyes replied simply, but I don't think they will. Earth may have evolved beyond warfare, but today they were reminded why they created us in the first place. 3 days later, as the last Korgan ship fled the Nylari system, Resistance leader Thila stood with Commander Rais in what remained of the capital city. The crystalline spires were shattered, but already the surviving Nylari were beginning the process of rebuilding. "Your people saved ours," Thila said, her skin glowing with gratitude, a vibrant gold that reflected the setting sun. "We sent a desperate call into the void, never knowing who might answer." "And you got us," Rais said with a slight smile. "Not the peaceful explorers you might have hoped for." "No," Thila agreed. "Something far more necessary. The universe, it seems, has balance. Our people abandoned the concept of warfare millennia ago, believing that intelligence would always choose peace. We were wrong. And my people embraced warfare too completely," Rais responded. "We nearly destroy ourselves before finding peace." Thila extended all 4 of her arms in a formal gesture. "Perhaps together, we can find the middle path. Your strength protecting our wisdom." Rais accepted the gesture, clasping Thila's hands. "A new alliance. I think Earth will approve, once they get over the shock of actual aliens." As they stood amidst the ruins of what once was, and the foundation of what would be, Rais reflected on the irony of their situation. The Sentinels, created during humanity's darkest hour and then hidden away in shame, had become ambassadors to the stars. Not despite their warrior nature, but because of it. Sometimes, she thought, the universe needed both light and shadow to maintain balance, and in answering a desperate call from the stars, humanity had found not only new allies, but perhaps a new understanding of their own complex nature. The Nylari had accidentally awakened Earth's deadliest warriors, and in doing so, might have helped humanity reconcile with its own past.